today on Playing the Field. I'm Maria Serrao. We've made it. It's Super Bowl 53 right here in Atlanta, Georgia, where our Los Angeles Rams are taking on those New England Patriots. And as you can see, about 1 million people have come to Atlanta for the big game. Now, we've been here all week doing stories, bringing you interviews with players, so we're going to check all that out and more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The 2018 season started out strong for our Los Angeles Rams. After beating the Raiders in Oakland, the Rams won 8 games straight before losing to the Saints in Week 9. The Rams struggled with the Bears and Eagles, but finished strong with a record of 13-3. For the second season in a row, the Rams made it to the playoffs, but this year they were on their road to the Super Bowl. Here's a look back at what the players had to say during the postseason. Jared, you played the Cowboys last year. When you look at film this year, what do you think are the biggest differences in that Cowboys team and this one?
I think again you can start with the pass rush. I know they had DeMarcus Lawrence last year as well, but he's playing at a really high level again this year, and they've added a few pieces there that have played at a high level with him, and they've done some good things up front to do that. And then I think the linebackers are extremely athletic.
Just very excited. Sat home, watched the game Sunday, find out who we're going to play. Great matchup. Was watching the Saints play. Love their energy. I look forward to that matchup, just seeing a great opponent for us to match up against. Been a lot of studying their film, and just can't wait for Sunday for a championship type game.
Can you just talk about what C.J. Anderson has meant to this team in the last couple of weeks?
Oh, he's been a huge pickup, man, and just the way he's carried himself. He's learned pretty much the whole offense in the span of the first 2 weeks he was here, really the first week. And I think it was Arizona really tested him, bringing a lot of pressure, and he's just done a phenomenal job helping out our young guys and just the way he carries himself. He knows Wade from being in Denver, and just the way he carries himself and what he's done is just incredible.
Playoffs is different. It's a different vibe. It's a different type of energy, and it definitely was tonight. The crowd was amazing, and I think we vibed off of each other so well this whole week in practice, and it just exploded in the game.
It's interesting because not only did you have to look out for a running back like Zeke, but Dak will run as well, so you had to keep him in check.
Well, they say the biggest thing with Dak was, after yards and, or when he can't find nobody open, making plays after it. And I think when you contain them well, it makes it a lot more easier. So I think we definitely contained them well and didn't let those second chances, didn't give them those second chances.
You got to leave it all out there, because it's win or go home. So you got to play better. You got to play at your best. You got to try to find ways to dominate it anyway. It ain't about getting sacks. It's about, making the big plays. If that's pressuring the quarterback, making them throw a pick, whatever you got to do to try to dominate the game. So that's the mindset we got to have as a team and going into it. So I'm going to just go out there and fly around. So
no matter how you cut it, it's one of the 3 teams we're playing, and they're all really good football teams. So, it's not like we have a preference on who we play. We know that a good football team is going to be coming here, in the divisional round that's earned the right to be there. And all 3 of them present a variety of different challenges. We've played 2 of them, and then, Dallas has done a great job this year. And if that's the case, then I think, being able to see what that result is, then you can narrow it down to 2 until that game between Chicago and Philly's finished up on Sunday afternoon. But you'll watch it just because I'd be watching it whether we were in or not, and then we'll go start getting ready for whichever one of those 3 we're playing based on the results.
I had a chance to sit down with head coach Sean McVay, who talks about what it was like to lead this team in the second largest media market in the country, Los Angeles. It's interesting. When I started looking at you, Dave Roberts, and Luke Walton, there were so many kind of crossover similarities. Kind of going with you and Dave, you come into the number 2 market in the country, an iconic franchise with you at the Rams. When you came in, did you think about all of that, or was it just something that was sort of there, but you didn't really put a lot of weight to it?
I think really you feel fortunate to work in a big market and the bright lights in the city of LA. You're so excited about that. But really, we're kind of just focused on doing the best that we can. You feel fortunate to work in the NFL and get a chance to do what you're doing, something that you love every single day with great people, great players. So, I don't think you really kind of process it like that. But the thing about Dave, and, I don't know Luke quite as well as I know Dave, is I think there's a consistency in terms of, we're going to work as hard as we can to try to establish a culture, but most importantly, help our players reach their highest potential and do it in a positive way where, you always want the players coming in, enjoying the atmosphere and the environment where there's a sense of urgency, but you also realize what a blessing it is to be able to do what we're doing. And I think you can get that done in a positive way, and that's the approach that we want to be able to take.
For you, was it daunting to know the team was 4-12 the year prior? You come in, you take the team to the playoffs. What stands out most to you, or was last year kind of a blur now looking back?
You know, I think what stands out the most, Maria, is the fact that you get a chance to really, you know, when you first start out, you know, you first of all, you get a chance to be around a great coaching staff. And I feel so fortunate where you don't have a lot of experience, but you get somebody like a Wade Phillips. You've already got somebody like John Fossil in place. You can get an assistant head coach in Joe Barry, an offensive line coach in Aaron Cromer, and then a lot of other assistants that have been so instrumental in being able to allow us to have a little bit of success so far. And that's what it's about, being with great people. And then when you get here, you can't imagine, you know, you really appreciate what great players we had. And then we were able to sign some free agents or acquire some players through trades that really upgraded our roster, but also upgraded the leadership in the locker room. And when you look at guys like Andrew Whitworth and what they're able to provide from a leadership standpoint, John Sullivan, Roger Saffold being able to stay healthy, stay at the left guard position, what that does for the development of an Austin Blythe and a Rob Havenstein up front. You get Jared Goff continuing to feel comfortable. Todd Gurley, those two taking steps to be able to be great leaders. Guys like Robert Woods. You draft players like a Cooper Kupp. And then when you get over on defense, you know, you have guys that, you know, were already in place in an Aaron Donald. LaMarcus Joyner's a phenomenal safety. So I think it's been a combination of getting the right kinds of guys in the building over the last couple years, but then also having some really special young players that are continuing to develop and really become special leaders as well. And, you know, that's what it's about, all about the people you're around.
Sounds like they're making your job too easy, Sean.
They are, you know, they are. And really, you know, I think there's the one thing you appreciate more than anything, though, is that in a lot of instances, you know, it can be overwhelming when you get so fortunate to get into a role, and especially when you just don't have the amount of experience that a lot of guys do have when they get into it, you know, and I'm not afraid to admit that, but what you also feel really fortunate about is that you've got people that have more experience that you can lean on so that we can help try to figure out what are the best solutions and what are the best ways to handle different circumstances and situations for our team. And it might not be for everybody, but, you know, we truly try to make sure that everybody's inclusive and included in what we try to do and provide a why for our players. And I think that helps create the understanding, and really we talk about the clarity from a communication standpoint. And when everybody's on the same page, I think that can help us be able to sustain a certain level of success and going in the same direction.
Prior to you getting here, the one thing that all the players said the year before was, we have to change the culture, which kind of seems like a big thing.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you? Because clearly it changed.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, you know, what we look at as the culture, Maria, is really, you know, how we do things around here. And I think that's something that's become what it is because of the ownership that our players have in it. You know, we have a certain set of circumstances, the values, the things that we deem important with how we operate on a day-to-day basis. But ultimately, the players having it come to life by their actions, the way that they consistently go about their business, is something that's really important, and I think is what has made this special up to this point.
Okay.
And we try to do things, you know, and collaborate, and that's coaches and players alike. But it's okay. What do we want to stand for? What are the core things that we believe from a football philosophy standpoint, from a standard and expectation standpoint with how we go about our day? And we believe that we can get those things done, but still enjoy that process along the way. And I think the consistency and the standards that everybody's held to the certain set of circumstances and standards enables us to really, you know, be consistent in that approach. And I think there's a respect factor where whether you're an Aaron Donald, a Todd Gurley, a Jared Goff, or whether you're a guy that is on the practice squad, you know, the certain rules that we have, nobody's above that, and I think they respect that, and we're not above being coached as coaches either. And I think that's important for our players to feel that shared accountability, that shared coachability that everybody has creates an atmosphere that's conducive for growth and everybody working in the same direction.
Is that kind of how you're dealing with all the big personalities in the room too, or?
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, it's big personalities, but these guys all love football. And I think like anything else, if you can provide that why, or you're not afraid to listen to them, you know, and a lot of these guys have earned the respect based on their production, but also their experience, to be able to say, if there's some way that we could do something better or more efficiently, we're not afraid to listen. And I think it's just about doing things together, being able to listen, create a commonality in terms of, all right, what are the things that are important? But, they've done a great job implementing themselves, endearing themselves to the teammates. And I think the thing that is something that you feel as proud of as anything, Maria, is the fact that our team is connected. These guys enjoy playing for each other. They demonstrate that mental toughness. When we go through some adversity during the course of games, guys stay connected, they stay together, they worry about the next play and what they can control, but they get the previous things fixed. And I think that's a good sign of any team that is able to sustain and kind of go through and work through things together.
Tell us about We Not Me.
Yeah. We Not Me is really kind of what we want to embody. When you talk about the culture, it's we feel like the sport of football is the greatest team sport there is. It truly takes all 11, the power of the unit. But ultimately, I think, one of the things that we all feel is that there's something special about being a part of something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And when we do that, when we have that approach that everything that we do is most importantly about, how can we help the Rams go in the right direction, that's what's special. And there's nothing like sharing in the shared accomplishment after you go through the course of a week, all the work that goes into preparing for those 3.5 hours in the locker room afterwards. And that's something that is just such a special bond. But then there's also the element of finding a way to recover after, something that maybe didn't go our way. Now, fortunately, we've been able to avoid those types of situations at this point, and we know it's going to be a grind to continue to do that. But I think our guys do an excellent job of focusing on one day at a time and really understanding the power of that we not me approach with it's all about the team.
So I ran into a friend of yours recently, Kyle Farmer, who told me that you're locked in. He said, I tried to get him to come out to a Dodger game, but he's locked in now. He was locked in school. He's not leaving the facility.
That's right.
Is that you?
That is me, and very happy for all of Kyle's success. And really, you have so much respect for what the Dodgers are doing right now and pulling for those guys to continue to advance. But right now, you always want to try to do the best that you can within the framework of your role. Yeah. And I always struggle with that balance a little bit. I'm going to try to get better at it. But yeah, we're certainly locked in, but you enjoy what you do, so it's been good.
Because you came from a football family, were you always going to do this?
I don't know that I ever really thought about it like that. I think I knew I wanted to be involved in football, whether that was personnel, whether that was coaching, I didn't know. Now, as soon as, the opportunity to work for John Gruden with the Bucs after I finished playing in college presented itself, what you love so much about it, Maria, is the fact that you're on the field with the players, that interaction in the film room. So everything that coaching entails, the relationships that are developed, and it was something that you fall in love with immediately. I've always loved this game. You knew you wanted to be around it. And then when you get a chance to start coaching, start investing in helping people get better, start building and developing relationships with coaches and players, that's what you love so much about it. And you don't ever really feel like you're working.
All right, so if you had to switch roles with either Luke or Dave, what would you be better at? Coaching basketball or managing a baseball game?
Well, I think both of them require a certain level of expertise in that given sport, and I don't know that I have either one of those, but I think I have a little bit better understanding of basketball than baseball. But,
interesting.
I think, the one thing that I do think is so different about what these guys do that is really a credit to them and the mental fortitude and just the consistency at which you have to operate. When you're talking about playing 162 games, when you're talking about playing 82 games, not to mention if you get to the postseason afterwards, that's a long grind. And figuring out how to navigate through a season where the balance of understanding the importance of every game but not getting too caught up in it because we've got a chance to respond sooner than later is very different than really only having 16 opportunities. And so that would be the biggest thing that's the challenge, is having that many more games, how you allocate your schedules and things. But I love learning from different coaches, and that's one of the things, if you had to say, one of the biggest blessings about being in this role is the platform it provides and that it has provided over the last year and a half to meet great people like those guys that are so willing to share, and you can help learn from them, and ultimately it helps you in your role be better.
You're not an LA guy. What's this been like for you? Do people come up to you now and talk to you and things like that?
Yeah, I'd like to think I got a little LA swag now, but no,
just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's still weird to me that people want to come up and say hello, and it's humbling and flattering. And right now we're not out a lot, but even just after last season, when you're out going to restaurants and different things like that, this city has fully embraced us.
Yep.
Certainly make me feel very welcomed. Love it. Love this city. Love the weather. Love everything that it provides. And that's what makes you want to continue to work as hard as you possibly can to provide a product that the players, that really the fans and this city can be proud of.
No pressure here, but they like championships in this town, Sean.
We like championships too. And you know what? That's always, that's everybody's goal. And we know that we've got a long, long way to go. We're going to continue to try to work to get better every single week. But with the guys that we do have, with the players that we have, with the coaches, there's a lot of confidence. But for us, it's just about that one day at a time mindset and mentality and trying to get better. And we feel like over time, hopefully that'll lead to good things.
For you, what's been the biggest challenge?
I would say the biggest challenge is, when things are, the consistency that you have to bring every day.
Okay.
And that's when, I think I've heard this said before, you can have bad moments but not bad days. And it's understanding how to be real but not allow things to affect your ability to respond or handle just the ebbs and flows. I've heard some coaches say that once you realize that being in a leadership role is kind of putting out fires every day and dealing with just a lot of stuff, then you handle it a lot better. But I've got a lot of people that are very helpful in terms of handling all the different things that the role entails. But ultimately, I think it's about just being consistent and then the time management. How do you balance being involved in the offense the way that you are, but not losing sight of continuing to develop the relationships with our players on special teams, on defense, and being able to be a head coach, but also have the trust to be able to empower your assistants in a way that makes them understand how important they are to what we're doing.
It's a little tricky to do that sometimes, isn't it?
It is, but I think you continue to get a little bit more comfortable with it. I know this year it's a great challenge, but I think there's a little bit better feel for there's a better feeling without having to say I didn't know what to expect last year, but
right.
The fear of the unknown. A little bit more about it. The coaches, the players a little bit better, but I think each year provides different set of challenges and circumstances, but it's ultimately about being efficient and being the best leader that's consistent for the players as you can possibly be.
Year 2, do you feel like you've been here a long time, or do you feel like it's still so short?
I feel like the time flies by, but I feel like I'm 32 going on 52, so if that answers your question, I love it, but I can't believe we're going into week 7 right now. I feel like I feel like we should be going into week 17 or something, but I've enjoyed it. It's been such a fun start to the year, but it is wild to think that you're 6 games into it with 10 to go for sure, and we're just going to do the best we can week 7.
All right, lastly, when you're not doing football stuff, what else do you like to do?
I like to spend time at home with my girlfriend and with my dog. We'll take our baby pit bull for walks and different things like that. I think just liking to stay active,
Okay.
helps give me a little bit more patience and tolerance when I get those positive endorphins going. So I think just staying active or just relaxing, depending upon how much energy I have. But a lot of different restaurants that you like to go to, but usually that's more in the off season than it is during the season, just because there's not a lot of time.
Well, the 2018 season for the Los Angeles Rams looks pretty good on paper at 13-3, but this team did have many obstacles to overcome. Now, I had a chance to sit down with LA Rams reporter from the Los Angeles Times, Gary Klein, and we talked about how this team ultimately pulled together. We are talking about the Rams season, kind of taking a look back, and one of the things I think that people are sort of most amazed about is the adversity that this team did have. They look at this great record and think that it was smooth sailing the whole way, but it really wasn't. And when you think about dealing with the wildfires, even the tragedy in Thousand Oaks, being stuck in Colorado, no Monday Night Football game in Mexico, how do you think they got through that?
Well, I think the culture, that Sean McVay has instilled here has helped. The fact that they're winning games keeps everything together. They never, even when they lost 2 games in a row near the end of the season, if it had gone to 3, it would have been interesting to see, because that's when you would start seeing some cracks. But they were able to avoid that. And as you mentioned, I think they've had injuries, which all teams do. They lost Aqib Talib for a while. They lost Cooper Kupp. But really, I think those instances that you're talking about, the fires where they were affected, the shooting in Thousand Oaks, which affected everyone, while those had an opportunity that could splinter a team or they might lose focus. In this case, I think those kinds of experiences actually brought them together.
Okay, you kind of brought me to my next question a few minutes ago. With the injuries, Les Snead brought in C.J. Anderson. Prior to that, Aqib Talib, Sam Shields, and Ndamukong Suh. Guys that were virtually a perfect fit. Does he get enough credit?
Well, I don't know if he gets enough, but he deserves a lot. You know, in terms of an NFL Executive of the Year type of thing, those preseason moves, you know, the trades for Peters and Talib, the signing of Sue, the trade for Brandon Cooks, Sam Shields, more of an under-the-radar kind of player, but he is produced. And then you mentioned C.J. Anderson, also the trade deadline acquisition of Dante Fowler. So everything that they have done this season in terms of off-season acquisitions has worked for them. And those are the kinds of things that have to fall into place to win a Super Bowl. And so it's not really a surprise they're here, but they need to get over the final hurdle.
You know, he's an interesting general manager, too, because he's always kind of available for everybody. He's very low-key. He talks to the players. There's like a family vibe with him almost.
He comes from the Atlanta Falcons organization. He worked under Thomas Dimitroff, Rich McKay, like-minded, I think, individuals, and he kind of weathered the storm, through St. Louis when they fired Jeff Fisher. Then we all thought the next guy that might be on the block is Les Snead, and I think he's acknowledged. No, he thought he might be as well, but things happen for a reason. He was part of the hiring process of Sean McVay. They seem to have a very good vibe together. And again, we've both been doing this long enough to know that it's season to season. Things can turn really quick for any number of reasons. But for this particular season, he has worked some magic.
The perceptions that you get, like in Ndamukong Suh to come in, that the personalities are going to clash and all this is going to happen, really, we never saw that.
No, and I think they got kind of tired early on of being asked about that. Yeah. But I think it was a legitimate question. It was a legitimate story, given some of the histories of some of the players and the egos involved and everything. But at least from what we can see, I'm sure there have been things, below the surface that may not come to our attention. But in terms of their locker room culture, it has remained good. Again, getting back to the fact that they never lost more than 2 games in a row. So you never got to that point where historically fingers start pointing. It's, the offense, the defense, whoever. That didn't happen in their case. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why they're here.
And a big thank you to the Los Angeles Times reporter Gary Klein for spending some time with us as we take a look back on the Rams' journey to the Super Bowl. We'll be right back. Now, one of our favorite stories this year involves players giving back. It's the NFL's initiative, My Cause, My Cleats, where players get to display their favorite charities that are near and dear to their hearts on their cleats. Here are some of their stories.
I'm with the American Heart Association. It's for anybody that had something done with their heart. My mom passed away from a massive heart attack when I was 17 years old. And that's my motivation to even be a part of the Heart Association organization and support them with My Cause, My Cleats.
We're here with Tyler Higbee. Now, you are representing Special Olympics. Tell me how you got involved for My Cause, My Cleats and that group.
Yeah, I was back in college. I attended a couple of Special Olympics out there at Western Kentucky, and they hosted it in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So I was fortunate enough to go out there and enjoy some of that, and just seeing the smiles on their faces, and having the inclusion of everyone being able to get out there and play some sports is fun.
I wear Motivation Foundation. It's my foundation that we started back in Dallas. Me and our president, Shantae Nettles. Basically, we just motivate kids to follow their dreams. So if you want to be a chef, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, you know what I'm saying, we kind of give kids the blueprint on what they're going to need to do in order to follow their dreams. So,
what inspired you to do that?
I don't know. Growing up, I always wanted to be an NFL player, and I feel like I didn't really have – I had my brother, really, to kind of show me the blueprint on what it was to me to follow my dreams. And there's so many kids out there get told what they can't do. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to encourage kids to do whatever they want, So I had somebody in my life who kind of showed me the blueprint to get to where I want to go, so I want to do that and help kids do that.
Now, this has been a very different week, of course, for the Los Angeles Rams. I caught up with some of the players who talked about the excitement of being here for Super Bowl week. We're hanging with Ethan Westbrook's here today, 3 days before Super Bowl?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 3 days.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I've been ready. I feel like it's not really no nervousness. You just, like, eager. You know you prepare and everything. So it's more like a kid that got his outfit laid out for the first day of high school.
You know, you got a chance to go out and practice yesterday, put the helmets on. How did that feel?
It was dope, just to be out here in Atlanta with the opportunity to go ahead and, compete for a world championship. That's what you do it for all year long, and know that your hard work done paid off and gives you a chance to go ahead and be the best in the world. It's pretty dope.
You know what? I just asked John. It's interesting to me because you guys have been so even-keeled all year. Is it possible to stay that way when it's the Super Bowl?
I think it is. I think, when you overthink things or when you give something too much attention, you end up not being you. You end up, thinking outside the box maybe a little too much, and that can, if it's not needed, I think that can definitely hurt you. So, stay focused on what got you here, and I think that's what we do a great job of. And like I said, got the pads and the helmets on yesterday. It's just dope to be back on the field.
You guys have done such a good job of staying in the moment, especially, all season from training camp all the way to here. So does that kind of help you being in this environment now?
Definitely. I don't think it hurts. I think, we've been through a lot this year with the team and people, on and off the field. And, with the shootings in Thousand Oaks and the fires going back to back and then the game being changed from Mexico, and I think, it shows that we don't really blink, don't flinch when things don't when adversity hits us in the face, and we just kind of take it, roll with it, and just play our game, and it's worked out for us.
I feel great. Our practice flew by yesterday. We put up some finishing touches on the game plan, and felt good to run around again and be get back into the groove of things, I can say.
I talked to Tyler yesterday. You guys have worked so well together. Kind of go through that and talk about the dynamic of the way Sean utilizes both of you guys.
Well, when I first came in, I got to know Tyler really well. We spent a lot of time together, worked out every day together. So, we had a brotherhood that was building from the moment that I became a Ram. And, to see us complement each other so well back last year and along with this year is just mesmerizing to see, And I can't say enough about Tyler, and along with Coach McVay, he's a genius mastermind, and I love the way he uses us.
But in your wildest dreams, did you dream it would be like this?
No. I honestly didn't even know that you had to come a week early and things like that. But like I said, I'm taking it all in. I'm like a sponge. I'm just seeing everything. Hopefully this isn't my last one, so I'm trying to get used to it.
Such a tight-knit group all year. Can you talk about General Manager Les Snead and just the differences he's made this year?
Yeah, General Manager of the Year. Did a great job of just, getting all these guys in suits, Lee, Peters, Cooks, getting Whitten and Sully, and everybody, Sam Shields. We had a lot of guys over the last 2 years, and, he definitely did a great job of, doing whatever he did. He did it, I tell you that.
You have a lot of dialogue with him. What kind of things do you guys talk about?
We don't talk about that much stuff.
Now, there's been so much going on here in Atlanta all week, but nothing bigger than the NFL experience. This is a virtual Disneyland for NFL fans. You can get autographs from players. You see team helmets. Doesn't matter who you're a fan of all the 32 teams, they are represented in the NFL experience. So without further ado, let's go check it out. was the Wilson football booth. That is where we found out how to make an official NFL football. All right, we are here with Andy Wetling from Wilson Footballs. Now, you are going to show us how to make an official Super Bowl football. It's quite amazing. Let's go through the process.
Absolutely. So what we've done here is we brought balls that are already sewn in the half position. So we'll take those two halves and make a full ball. Then we'll go to the turning process and they'll put it in a steam box. So that is 212 degrees, nice and steamy, gets it soft and absorbs some of that moisture to make it more pliable. It makes it easier to turn. So once Jimmy gets done turning the football, it'll go off to bladder and lace. So we will put a polyurethane bladder in there and we'll use a PVC lace to close the ball up. And then we go to molding. So what molding does is it puts pressure in the bladder, pushes the seams out, finishes the ball off, and then we'll inspect it and we're all done.
These guys seem like professionals. They must have a lot of practice doing this.
Absolutely. So we put out about 2,200 to 2,500 balls a day. So these guys are the rock stars, right? They do all the hard work. We're on the other side of it, just promoting the ball, but they're awesome.
Now, how has it been here with the response from everybody? This is such an amazing place to watch this happen.
This is amazing. So the NFL experience, I look at it as a big pump, pass, and kick tournament. Everybody's over here throwing balls, but we get so many people coming through because we're the only shop in town. We're making something, right? You can buy something here, so it's been great.
How many people want you to make them a football and then get the one that they made?
That's becoming more popular, actually. So you could buy balls we made last week at the factory, or you can buy the ones that's coming down the line, and that's becoming very popular.
Now, I noticed on some of them you've got some of the logos. Talk about that.
Yeah, so you can laser in your team logo. It could be any team. You can put your name in. We actually have you sign a card. We'll scan it in, and actually laser burns that image into the ball.
Now, this is such a special thing for the Super Bowl with that logo being on there, and we noticed on the wall you've got every Super Bowl displayed.
Yes. So I actually have all those balls in my office too. So we've actually can remake. So if you wanted Super Bowl III, you could actually get on Wilson.com, request that. We'll make it for you and ship it to you.
And don't worry, we were assured that all those footballs had the exact amount of air in them, so no deflate gate. We'll be right back. Can you believe that Boston has now beat Los Angeles twice? First in the World Series and now in the Super Bowl. It was the Patriots over the Rams 13-3. Julian Edelman winning MVP for the New England Patriots. Now, the Los Angeles Rams offense really never got going. Here's quarterback Jared Goff talking about it after the game.
Kills, and it hurts. It hurts me so much just knowing how well our defense played, and against that team, against Tom, to play that well defensively, and us not hold up our end of the bargain, and it's our job to score points, and we didn't do that tonight. I mean, you are numb in a way where you're trying to process it all, but we know what happened. I mean, we got outplayed. We got completely outplayed, and like I said, for an offense like we know we're capable of being, for them to do what they did to us is so impressive, and you tip your cap to them. But at the same time, we left so much out there on the field that's so hard to take right now, and I'm mad at myself. I wish I would have done things differently. I wish I could have gotten back and made extra plays, but all stuff I can learn from and use moving forward.
And head coach Sean McVay saying he was numb after the game, and of course, he will be looking at this tape for a long time, or at least till the draft in April. All right, that will do it for today's show. Remember, you can watch Playing the Field 24/7 at playingthefieldtv.com. I'm Maria Serrao, and we'll see you next time.